One.
Hi, this is Holly Martimer. I'm your English teacher, and today I want to give you some tips for um, doing well in English and kind of walk you through some of the systems that will be important um, as you're working in class. So, a little bit about me, and this takes a second to load. I live in Boise. I have two kids, both boys. My husband builds and remodels houses for a living. Um, I enjoy running, cooking, and making my tea. And I've been teaching with I Succeed since we opened, almost 10 years. And I taught for 12 years, excuse me, up in Garden Valley before moving to Boise and starting with I Succeed. Here's some pictures of my family and my dogs and things that we like to do. So I wanted to give you a few tips on being successful in our class. And the first tip is to read the course announcements. So over here on the right, you can see what the course announcements look like. And when we go into the PSP in a minute, I'll show you where you will find those. But every time you log in, you just want to kind of look. The newest announcement will be on top. You do have to click to see the posts. So sometimes you can only see a part of the post, and you'll want to click to see the entire post. But that's where I put all the key information about the course. I use it more like a library of information rather than an update. I'll go ahead and email you and message you the kind of the weekly updates. But this is where all the key course information will be, and it's there for the whole entire quarter. So if you are like, I know she posted about the announcements, you can always go back and look at those. And you should just check those every time you log in. The second tip is to make sure that you read the teacher notes. If you see one, read it and go through any of the links or the videos that are provided there. Those also stay for the whole course, so you can go back to those. And you'll know you're looking at a teacher note when you see my picture. So the teacher notes are actually in the class. So as you're scrolling through the class, sometimes you'll come across a little picture of me, and there will be information there. And that's information that I've actually put into the course myself. So the curriculum is written by our partner, StrongMind, and they develop the classes. So I don't actually write the tests and the reading material and the checkpoints that you go through. But the teacher notes is where I do put my information. And a lot of times there will be alternative assignments there, course support documents. So I do project roadmaps where I kind of break down the project and explain how to do it. There's forms that I allow you to fill out if you want to do test corrections to get a better grade on a test. So you want to pay attention to those teacher notes. They're really, really important. Make sure that you're checking your school Gmail account and your messages every day. So you should be logging in every weekday. Even if you don't have time to do a lot of coursework, just logging in and going through your email and your messages is a really good way to stay on top of the course and what's happening in the course. So make sure that you're opening your school Gmail account. That's your @isucceedvhs.net account. And then also there are messages in the classes, in the course system, and you'll want to be sure that you're reading those as well. I create things like project roadmaps. This quarter there will be some video assignments that you can do for credit. So whenever you see a link or a document that I've posted, usually those are in teacher notes, but I'll also put them in announcements, and sometimes I send them out. Want to make sure that you use those. They're there to help you. And one that I really want to highlight is I created a document for all the discussion posts and a rubric for how to do the discussion posts successfully. You're gonna, those are kind of required to open because the discussion format will be a little different this quarter than it has been in previous quarters. You do one discussion post for the entire unit, so that's a total of 6, and you're choosing from all the different prompts that you can do. So if you don't pay attention to those, you'll end up doing more work for a worse grade. The key tip, excuse me, for success is to ask for help. That's sort of our whole job as teachers at I Succeed, because we're not writing the lessons, we're not writing the tests. We grade projects and short assignments, and then answering questions and helping you to succeed in the class is kind of the key part of our job. So make sure that you're reaching out whenever you get stuck for any reason. If it's a tech issue and you've done a tech ticket but you don't want to wait, or you just have a question about how the system works, or if it's a content question, like you're stuck on a checkpoint question or an exam question, you just cannot figure out how to get past that, just reach out. That's what we're here for, and we're happy to help. So here's a couple of key things for English to know. You won't see a submit button to turn a project in until you get to the end of the unit. Projects aren't due until the end of the unit, but you'll start working on them at the beginning of the unit. So for a while, the project will pop up in the course and you'll just see a save button. Just keep clicking save, even if you're done. Every time it opens up, just click save. And then when you get to the end of the unit, you'll see save and submit. And that's when you turn the project in. You can redo projects as many times as you want, as long as you're willing to revise them based on my feedback, but you only take exams one time, so be sure that you're prepared for the exams. As I said earlier, for discussion boards, you submit one post per unit, and there are extensive directions for how to do that in the course itself, so be sure that you're clicking on that document and reviewing that. If you submit a project blank, I will enter a 0 and then create a new attempt. So I encourage you to do those projects. They're worth 20% of your grade, but you can submit something blank and come back to it later if you need to. If you get less than a 90%, I also automatically create a new attempt so that you can use my feedback to get a better grade if you want to. You don't have to. If you have 3 courses, you should be completing 10 lessons a week. If you have fewer than 3 courses, that number is a little different. If you have 4 courses, that number is a little different. But most students are scheduled in 3 classes, and that means you need to do 10 lessons a week. So that works out to be 3 or 4 lessons in English per week, and that's so that you finish on time and also so you don't get into attendance trouble. And I will give you one strategy that a lot of students use is they work on 1 course per day instead of working on all their courses every day. If you sit down in the morning to work on English and you just are prepared to work on that for a few hours, you can usually complete 3 or 4 lessons in one day. I make a lot of Google Docs for our class. The discussion board instructions are in there. All the video assignments will be a Google Doc. And in order to open any of those course documents or any school documents, you do have to be logged into your school Gmail account. And that's your @i6cvhs.net Gmail account. If you don't know how to get into that, just text me or send me an email and I'll link you up with Steve, our tech support person, and he'll help you get that figured out so you can get logged into your school email and then have access to those documents. If you see a button that says request access, it means you're not logged into your school account, and you'll need to do that in order to open the document. So if you request access from me, you're just going to get a reply with this picture of this cute little seal, and I'm going to say, sorry, but you have to log into your school Gmail to open this document. Where can you find me? So you can email me at my school Gmail account, or there is a message center in the PSP, and we'll look at that in a second. You can give me a phone call at a reasonable hour. You can send me a text message. I text with students all the time. That's no problem. I have a form that you can submit to schedule an appointment for live help, and we can meet in a Google Hangout and share screens, and that's a really good way for me to help you if you're working on something in the course. I'm at the Boise office on Tuesdays. I have a meeting from 9:30 to 10:30, but I can stay longer if you're going to be at the Boise office. Just be sure when you're doing any kind of electronic communication, text or email, that you tell me who you are, like your whole name. I have about 120 students right now, and which course you're asking about. And that will help me right away help you. If you don't tell me that information, those will be my first 2 questions. What's your name and which class are you talking about? And all this contact information is in a course announcement. It's always available to you, so you don't need to write this down or memorize it. I'm also going to post a link to this presentation for you, so you can refer back to it if you need to. Okay, so this is a video assignment. This is the Unit 1 video assignment. So you're going to want to click on the link that is available to you where I posted this welcome video and take the little short quiz. It's do or die. You get 100% if you take it, so you don't have to get everything absolutely correct, but try to so that you know that you understand how the course is going to work. And then go back and read the course announcements. That should be your first task. I'm going to go ahead and exit out of here so we can take a look at the PSP and some of the things that I talked about. So when you log in to your course, this is our demo student. So this is not a real student. and he doesn't have any classes right now except for orientation. This is what it'll look like when you log in. So I just want to show you a few features that you're going to want to refer to and use. And I'm going to click on the gradebook first because it sometimes takes a little while to load. So I'll talk about some other things. So over here on the left, the places that are important to you are the courses and the message center. So it automatically defaults to go to courses, and there you will see all the courses that you're currently taking, and then past courses. So you click on the course to get information about it, and then if you want to switch to a different course, you just click one of the other ones. Right now, Lionel's only in one course. So here's where you would see what your current grade is. There are little question marks that you can click to give you more information about the grades that are showing, how many school days you have left, a little snapshot of how many assignments you've done. Keep in mind, assignments are different than lessons. So a lesson will typically have a few workbooks, a checkpoint, maybe a discussion post, possibly an exam. So a lesson encompasses a series of assignments or activities. So when you're talking about attendance, be sure that you're doing 10 lessons, not 10 little discrete assignments within a lesson. And you can tell what those are because they are called lesson 1, lesson 2, lesson 3. And when you're in the course, you'll see L1, L2, L3. Up here, you can see that Lionel has 5 new messages. You can access those by clicking there, or you can click the message center. So these are really old. This is some stuff that teachers and the school have sent to Lionel. And if they're in bold, it means they haven't been read. We go back to courses, and I'm going to have to reload the gradebook. And that's going to take a minute. Because there was one other thing I wanted to explain. Also, when you click the gradebook, it's going to show you how far you are in the course, and then it will list every single assignment for the entire term, for the whole quarter, and it'll show when the assignment's due under estimated due date, if you've submitted it, when you turned it in, what your grade is, and how many attempts you've used if you have more than one attempt. You can print the gradebook from here, so if you want like a schedule of the whole entire quarter, you could print it early on in the quarter, and then you can see that. You can sort it by different categories, by different items. If the grade is an exclamation point, it means you haven't turned it in and it's a 0. So that means it's become due and you didn't submit it, so now it's a 0. And you want to keep in mind that zeros really, really pull your grade down. So if you send me an email asking me how you can improve your grade, the first thing I'm going to say is, do you have any missing assignments? Because that's the number one thing you can do to improve your grade, especially if it's something big like a project. If you've skipped a project, that'll be what I tell you to do. Because that 0, when they're worth 20%, is really going to make an impact on your grade. And I have an announcement that explains how the grades work, but if you ever want to see what the percentages are that each category of assignment is worth, you can click on category. It might not show up in here. Oh yeah, it does. So it'll tell you which kinds of assignments you have in the course and how much each category is worth. So that's a quick way to look too. So that's the PSP, that's how you'll get to the course. And then I want to show you an example of a couple things in the course. It'll just take a second to load. So this is my English 11B course. And this is the actual class if you haven't gotten a chance to go in yet. Okay, so what I want to show you is what a teacher note looks like. So over here you can see all these L's. When we say 10 lessons a week, we're talking about the L's. So next week, or this week, for example, for our first week of class, you'll want to get through with lesson 3. And you can see that each lesson, take a second to load, come on. So there are 6 units, there are 5 lessons per unit, and each lesson is broken down into a series of activities or assignments. So you can see for lesson 1, you have all of this work to do. There's a pretest, there's a timeline, there's some reading, there's a checkpoint, that's a little short quiz, there's a discussion, and then that's the end of the lesson, and then you move on to lesson 2. So when we say you need to do 3 or 4 of the lessons, we're talking about all this work is one lesson. So I'm going to go to discussion 1, so I can show you the discussion board note, and then just what a teacher note looks like, so you can keep in mind that you need to keep an eye out for those. So whenever you see my picture, that means that's something that I have put into the course specifically to help you with the assignments. So be sure that you read those. And this teacher note is about how the discussion boards will work in our course. Remember I said earlier, you'll just do 1 discussion post per unit, so you'll do a total of 6, but you have a list of choices to pick from, and you have to pick one of those choices. And then I also created a rubric, and that's basically like how to get the grade you want. It's an explanation of what you need to have in your post in order to get the grade you're looking for. So these are the instructions, and then there's a link to the discussion assignment. So it's a document that covers the whole entire course. But so for this first unit, you'll be just looking, or this first lesson, you'll just be looking at unit 1. And then the rubric, a link to the rubric, so you know how to get the grade you want. And whenever you click on these Google documents, if you click make a copy, it'll put a copy into your drive. You won't be able to edit them until you make a copy. So if you want to type in it or highlight or something, you'll have to make a copy of it. It's a view-only document from my end, but if you click File and then make a copy, you'll have a copy in your drive. So this is what the teacher notes look like, and you'll want to keep an eye out for that picture. It's telling you, hey, Mrs. Mortimer's put something in here for you. Probably pretty important to take a look at that. Okay, so that is it for my welcome video. If you go back to wherever you've accessed this, if you've opened it in the announcements or you've opened it in my welcome email or my welcome message, go back and make sure you click on the quiz link, the video assignment, Unit 1 video assignment quiz link. Take that quiz, it'll send it to me, and then at the end of the week, I'll put your points in for completing this assignment. And remember, it's 100% just for doing it. So it's a super easy one. There are 10, like you put in your name, some information like that, and then there are 10 questions, really short and easy, and just to kind of make sure you understand how the course works. If you have any questions at all about any of this material, please don't hesitate to get a hold of me, and I hope you have a great first week.